Have you ever felt the fire inside of you burn? That fire where you know you can be more, see more, feel more, give more, do more, achieve more. And have you ever wondered how you're going to let it go and just burn more brightly every day? Well, I wandered into 2 Timothy 1:6 at the weekend, and Thabiso is with me, but I can't remember why I wandered into it. But Thabiso, talk to me about fire burning deeply inside of you.
I can tell you why, because this context, it's such a beautiful verse because this verse, Paul basically encourages Timothy to let his fire burn and for him to basically go on and do what he's supposed to do, what God has called him to do, you know? And this is the exact example of that, is that whenever I speak to Rob, I feel that you are encouraging me. Basically, you are being my Paul, and I'm being Timothy, and you just literally encouraging me to go at whatever I am doing. And it's something that we always do for each other, and it's something that we always love to see. And something that I've also written down here about this particular verse is basically it urges us to also tap into our talents. Like the talent that God has given you, He is expecting you to use it and to use it to its fullest of ability. I'm gonna get into trouble for this because I know he watches these episodes as well, and that's my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law has this gift of speaking, and I've been encouraging him. I've been such a Paul to him, but he doesn't want to use that talent. And I'm like, oh man, you're robbing the world so much. And I think there's so many things within us, even within me still right now. Someone literally today, out of I don't know how many people asked me, dude, why aren't you doing a podcast? Why haven't you started your own podcast as yet? And I feel that that's most probably a talent that someone has seen in me, and they like, you are wasting this talent. And I believe that even in this verse, this is a way that Paul is encouraging Timothy that, hey man, you have talent, use it to the fullest of your ability, use it to honor God, to glorify God. And I think the last thing that I got from this verse is your maintenance of what you're doing is to always maintain that standard. Like we know that we are recording this each and every Monday, right? It is the maintenance of it that basically brings breakthrough and that brings that fire. And yeah, it was such a beautiful, well-rounded verse of maintaining and of course nurturing the gifts that God has given you. And this is us. We're doing exactly that, and there is a blessing upon that as well.
It brings a question, right? Who is
Yeah.
your Paul? Who is your Paul? Um, we as human beings, we're terrible at recognizing our own gifts and our own fire and our own being inside of us. We maybe we self doubt or whatever it is, but you're so right. Like Paul is Timothy's cheerleader. He's you've and I wonder if we surround ourselves with enough cheerleaders the entire time and truly listen to them. Um, because a cheerleader will, I'm a firm believer that our job is to be king makers. And part of that is cheering people on, even if they're going in a direction that's different to yours, pushing them forward and cheering them on for their talents to shine through, for their fire to burn brightly. I mean, Tabs, I mean, you mentioned that maybe I'm a bit of a cheerleader, but who else is a cheerleader for you? Who's there telling you you've got more, you should do more? Here it is for you.
Definitely, definitely, you are definitely one of them. And I must say, Rob, I'm almost going to throw this back into your court, right? I'm going to ask you, how much has your wife been your cheerleader?
Oh my goodness gracious me. She is, as I was asking that question, I was thinking about actually, who are mine? And Kerry, my wife, is 1000% a cheerleader. She lets me go and do, or even pushes me to go and do things that in the back of her mind, I think she thinks is crazy on occasions. And she's like, no, you can make this work. You've got this. And even when she's doubting it herself, she still pushes me forwards to go and do it because she trusts that he can enable me to make it work, enable me to make it happen.
100%.
And yeah, there's I have very in honesty, I have very few cheerleaders in my life, but my wife is yeah. Lunchtime today, she's another one. Sit and take it easy. You've been at work for 7 hours. Um, you've got to go back another 5 hours straight this afternoon. You know, take it easy, and
How
just
much of a
helping me
cheerleader is
recharge.
that as well, right?
Hmm.
Because exactly that. I know my wife is extremely good at also telling me that, hey, you need to take it slow down, and that is also cheerleading. It's not always about someone that pushes you, someone that says, hey, you can do this, you can do that, or when you're at your highest point, keeps you there. But they can also tell you, hey, man, time to calm down a bit. You've been at it. Here's a little bit of a break, and they basically have those words of encouragement that are also just super amazing. And there's sometimes as well, the beautiful thing about a wife is that there's a certain look that they can also give you, and you know that that is a cheerleading look, which is super amazing. And I really enjoy this because that is also a way that we get to still nurture, and that we get to really keep to standard the gifts that God has given us, and keep that fire burning that God has given us. But I think one thing that I also wanted to ask you, when it comes to that, um, do you feel that within your business as well, you are actively engaging with your talent as the talent that God gave you?
I think I am progressively. Um,
Sure.
there's a hole, and the hole is I need to be speaking on stage more often, and I'm well aware that this is a stage. The Riverside studio we're on for the first time today. It's a stage. YouTube is a stage. The podcast platform is a stage. But something inside of me, and this isn't a, I don't know, an arrogance, um, says I need to be on stage speaking more often, sharing this, and the business context of this. Um, you know, well, let's take this into business. Being running your own business and being a business owner is a lonely experience.
Sure.
It's you're isolated. If you've got employees, they're all looking for you for answers that you may not have. In fact, 9 times out of 10 probably haven't. Um, a lot of business owners are busy racking their brains. How do I pay so and such so by the end of the month? And is that going to leave anything for me to earn if I paid all these people? So on and so forth. And I think that finding community, and I think that finding your Pauls is very important. We mentioned a mutual friend of ours, Dirk, before we jumped online, and Dirk is a cheerleader for me and for you, um, and I am for him as well. I know you are as well. Um,
100%.
but I wonder if we spend enough time. So tell me, how do you find the time, or the people to go and like be with your cheerleaders, the people who are going to boost you up and send you on? Do you have a plan, a strategy? Do you hit and hope? Like what works for Thabiso?
One thing that I know is what works for me as my best cheerleading group is my family. So I make time for family, and then I know that I get poured into, which is quite nice. And I know that they're my biggest cheerleader. But I think as you were mentioning that, I literally just felt a stirring in me, and God challenging me and saying, Tabiso, who are you cheerleading? You know, it's literally after you also just said about Dirk, like, who are you cheerleading, and who are you actively like almost choosing to cheerlead in whatever they do? Because it's easy to also cheerlead in the moment. It's very easy to cheerlead in the moment, but am I actually actively cheerleading someone? Am I seeing someone's journey and maybe giving them a message? You've actually said this. Oh man, Rob, you've also told me this by actually just sending someone a message and say, hey man, how are you? How's your family doing? How's your wife? How's your husband? And how are the kids? Like that's cheerleading. That's almost like in, hey man, I know you have all of this responsibility. How are you doing? And that literally lifts you up as well. So yeah, thank you for that. I think that's mainly what I'm taking away today is that sometimes I must be honest, I love, yes, being cheer led, but I think God is challenging me through this to be able to be a Paul for other Timothys and consciously doing so.
If we're to disciple well through our business, that means we've got to put a lot out and give a lot in order for other people to engage with us. If we're to disciple well, and I think finding the place to be with your Pauls, knowing who they are,
Mm,
knowing where they are, knowing when they are, finding that place to recharge. And for many of us, that's church on a Sunday morning. But I don't know about you, but church is wearing off by Tuesday morning for me because I've already gone and blasted it very, very
100%.
hard.
That's why we
Um,
must church every day.
that's it. We should church every day. I actually wondered what would happen if we had an office where we just did, an hour of church every day, and then set about our day and worked. And that was the pattern. We have these morning meetings, but maybe one day with Kingdompreneur, I just need to employ a full time pastor who just does church for us every morning, and then
Wow.
sends us off on our day. How would that be for a business?
That touches so much into a topic that we most probably going to discuss in a moment on Daniel. But let me pause that. But it is so possible for one to implement that because it's as you say, if you can implement the fact that you have meetings, 30-minute meetings on a daily basis or every Monday or whatever the case may be in your meeting, surely you can definitely tap into it to have even if it's like 15 minutes for God within your business on a daily basis to basically start off your day like that as well.
I know I could find an hour for a whole church service every day of the week, no problem at all.
100%.
Um,
100%.
and I was just actually, and we're going to waffle on for ages, but I was sat in church yesterday morning listening, and I've got the Bible app on my phone, so I'm busy flicking through to the different parts of the Word as and Scripture as the pastor's talking. But then I can't help myself but have the notes section on my iPhone open as well, and I'm busy typing notes in there, and I'm like, wow, revelations and this and that, and so on and so forth happens. Um, Imagine starting every day of your week with that, surrounded by your Pauls, where you're a Paul to a whole load of Timothys, and there's a whole load of Timothys who are a Paul towards you. And then you almost set yourself free as lions to go out there and roar. I mean,
Come on.
those would be the most productive days ever. Maybe we should just
100%.
make it happen.
Oh, so true.